The deal that McCarthy and the hardliners reached to end their blockade involved concessions from both sides. On one hand, McCarthy agreed to bring a pistol brace bill to the floor, which would prevent the Biden administration from regulating devices that attach to the back of a handgun and make it more stable. He also agreed to reassess the power-sharing agreement that he made with conservatives in exchange for their support for his speakership bid. And he promised to try to cut spending below the level agreed in the recent debt deal, which conservatives opposed as fiscally irresponsible. On the other hand, the hardliners agreed to stop blocking GOP messaging bills, such as those that would protect gas stoves from federal regulation and reduce red tape for businesses. They also agreed to let the House floor function normally this week, after causing chaos and delays last week by voting against procedural motions. However, they did not rule out resuming their blockade in the future if their demands are not met, especially on government funding issues. Kevin McCarthy is the Speaker of the House of Representatives, the leader of the Republican Party in the lower chamber of Congress. He has a difficult job. He has to balance the demands of his diverse and often divided caucus, while also negotiating with President Biden and the Democrats on key legislation. He faces challenges and opportunities as the Speaker of a narrow majority, where a small group of rebels can derail his agenda and threaten his leadership, but also where he can leverage his influence and relationships to broker compromises and advance his party's interests. One of the biggest challenges McCarthy faced recently was the debt ceiling deal. The debt ceiling is the legal limit on how much the federal government can borrow to pay its bills. If Congress does not raise it in time, the government could default on its obligations, which could have catastrophic consequences for the economy and national security. In May, McCarthy struck a deal with Biden to raise the debt ceiling for 2 years, in exchange for setting limits on discretionary spending for fiscal years 2023, and the deal passed the House with bipartisan support, but it angered many conservatives who wanted more spending cuts and reforms. A group of hardline conservatives, led by members of the House Freedom Caucus, decided to protest the deal by blocking the House floor from conducting any business. They used parliamentary procedures to delay or prevent votes on other bills, creating chaos and frustration in the chamber. They accused McCarthy of breaking his promises to them and demanded a new power-sharing agreement that would give them more say in future decisions. They also wanted McCarthy to commit to bringing a bill that would repeal a new rule on pistol braces, a device that attaches to a handgun and makes it more stable and accurate, to the floor for a vote. McCarthy tried to appease the rebels by meeting with them and listening to their grievances. He agreed to incorporate the pistol brace bill into an upcoming procedural vote, and he promised to involve conservatives more directly in future decision-making. He also said he would stick to the spending limits he negotiated with Biden, and he urged his caucus to unite behind him and focus on winning back the House majority. And after nearly a week of standoff, the hardliners agreed to end their blockade and resume normal business on the House floor. But McCarthy's troubles are not over yet. He still has to deal with other factions within his party, such as moderates who want more cooperation with Democrats, and Trump loyalists who want more confrontation. He also has to face a series of tough votes on appropriations, defense authorization, agriculture, and other issues that could expose divisions and disagreements among Republicans. He has to navigate a complex political landscape where any misstep could cost him his speakership or his chances of becoming the next president. McCarthy also has some opportunities as the Speaker of a narrow majority. He can use his position and clout to shape legislation and influence policy outcomes. He can work with Biden and Democrats on areas of common interest, such as infrastructure, trade, or immigration. He can also use his leverage and relationships to broker deals and compromises that could benefit his party and his constituents. He can showcase his leadership skills and vision for the country, and he can rally his caucus around a positive and coherent agenda that could appeal to voters in 2024.